9:47 p.m. You told yourself this morning would be different. You were going to eat clean, stay focused, maybe even go to bed early. But now you're here, scrolling, snacking, clicking next episode, like it's not even a decision anymore. And the weird part, you know this isn't what you wanted. It's not like you forgot your goals. It's not like you suddenly changed as a person. So what happened? Why does the version of you at 9 a.m. feel disciplined, focused, even optimistic, while the version of you at 9 p.m. feels like someone else entirely? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your brain at night is not the same brain you had in the morning. Not metaphorically, biologically, because every decision you make throughout the day, what to wear, what to say, what to ignore, what to prioritize, quietly drains a limited mental resource, a resource you don't feel disappearing in real time, but by the time evening hits, it's almost gone. Psychologists call this decision fatigue, and once it sets in, something subtle but powerful begins to happen. Your brain stops optimizing for long-term outcomes and starts optimizing for immediate relief. That means healthy food becomes optional, discipline becomes negotiable, and just one more becomes automatic. But here's where it gets unsettling. This isn't just about willpower. In fact, the more you rely on willpower, the worse this problem can get. Because what feels like laziness at night might actually be your brain running on empty. So the real question isn't, why am I so undisciplined after 5 p.m.? The real question is, what invisible system inside your brain is quietly breaking down over the course of the day and making bad decisions feel like the easiest option? And once you see how it works, you might start questioning every choice you thought was yours. To see this system in action, you have to look somewhere unexpected. Not at late night snacking, not at procrastination, but inside a courtroom. In 2011, researchers analyzed over 1,000 real parole decisions made by experienced judges in Israel. These weren't random people. These were professionals trained to be rational, consistent, and fair. And yet, a pattern emerged that was almost disturbing. At the start of the day, the chances of a prisoner being granted parole were around 65%. But as the hours passed, that number didn't gradually decline. It collapsed. By late morning, it dropped to nearly zero. Then something strange happened. After the judges took a break, ate food, rested, the approval rate jumped right back up to around 65% again. Same judges, same legal standards, same types of cases, completely different decisions. The only thing that changed was their mental energy. This study, led by Shai Danziger, became one of the clearest real-world demonstrations of decision fatigue, and it revealed something deeply uncomfortable. When your brain gets tired, it doesn't just make worse decisions, it defaults to the easiest ones. For a judge, the easiest decision is to deny parole. It's safer. It requires less mental effort, less risk. For you, the easy decision might look different. Ordering takeout instead of cooking, skipping the workout you planned all day, saying yes to something you don't actually want, just to avoid thinking it through. Because here's what's happening under the surface. Every decision, even tiny ones, requires your brain to weigh options, suppress impulses, and predict outcomes. Should I check my phone or stay focused? Should I respond now or later? Should I speak up or stay quiet? Each one pulls from the same mental reservoir. And unlike physical energy, you don't feel it draining in a clean, obvious way. There's no warning light, no low battery notification, just a slow shift from intentional to automatic. And modern life, it's designed to drain you faster than ever. Think about how many decisions you make before noon. Emails, messages, notifications, micro choices stacked on micro choices. Even choosing what to pay attention to is a decision now. And every time you switch tasks, resist distraction, or force focus, you're spending cognitive energy. By the time evening arrives, your brain isn't just tired, it's overloaded, which leads to a strange paradox. The more responsibilities you handle during the day, the less control you have over yourself at night. So when people say, I just need more discipline, they might be solving the wrong problem. Because what if the issue isn't a lack of control, but a system that's been quietly depleted? And if that's true, then what exactly inside the brain is running out? And why does it fail in such a predictable way? So what is actually running out inside your brain? For a long time, psychologists thought the answer was simple. Willpower is like a battery. Use it too much, and it drains. But the reality is stranger than that, because your brain doesn't just lose energy, it starts to change its strategy. Deep inside your head, just behind your forehead, sits a region called the prefrontal cortex. This is your CEO. It plans, weighs consequences, resists impulses. It's the part of you that says, skip the junk food, future you will thank you. But running that system is expensive. Every time you override an impulse, Every time you focus, instead of drifting, every time you make a deliberate choice, you're asking that CEO to stay online, and it can't do that forever. As the day goes on, something subtle begins to happen. Control doesn't just weaken, it gets outsourced. Your brain starts handing decisions over to older, faster systems areas, tied to habit, emotion, and immediate reward. Systems that don't ask, what's best long term, but instead ask, what feels easiest right now. Think of it like this. In the morning, your brain is a careful chess player, thinking several moves ahead, evaluating trade-offs, playing the long game. By evening, it's playing slot machines, not because it wants to lose, but because it no longer has the resources to keep playing chess. And here's where it gets even more interesting. This shift isn't just about fatigue, it's also chemical. Throughout the day, as you make decisions and exert control, your brain's balance of key neurotransmitters begins to change. Dopamine, often simplified as the reward chemical, starts to tilt, your motivation toward quick, easy gratification. At the same time, mental fatigue makes effort feel more costly. So now, you have a double effect. Short-term rewards feel more appealing, and long-term effort feels more painful. That's a dangerous combination. It's why a salad that sounded great at noon feels like a punishment at 9 p.m., while fast food feels like relief. But there's another layer most people never notice. Your brain is constantly trying to be efficient, and one of its favorite shortcuts, habits. Habits are decisions that have been automated. They require almost zero mental effort, no debate, no analysis. Which means when your cognitive resources are low, your brain leans harder on whatever habits already exist, good or bad. If your default habit is to work out after work, fatigue might not stop you. But if your default habit is to collapse on the couch and scroll, decision fatigue doesn't create that behavior. It reveals it, and that's why nights feel so consistent. Not because you're choosing the same thing every time, but because you've stopped choosing at all. So the version of you that shows up after 5 p.m., it's not weaker, it's just running on autopilot. And that leads to a realization most people don't expect. If your worst decisions happen when you're most tired, then maybe those decisions were never fully decisions to begin with. So if willpower fades, if your brain defaults to habits, and if modern life is constantly draining your mental resources, then the real question becomes, can you design your life in a way where you don't need willpower at night, where the easy choice becomes the right one? So if your brain is going to run out of energy, if your CEO is going to clock out sometime after 5 p.m., then maybe the goal isn't to fight that. Maybe the goal is to plan for it. Because here's the quiet shift that changes everything. Highly disciplined people aren't better at making decisions at night. They just make fewer of them earlier. Think about it. Why do some of the busiest people wear the same outfit every day? Why do athletes eat the same meals on repeat? Why do successful routines feel almost boring? It's not laziness, it's strategy. They're protecting their future self from decision fatigue. Because every choice you remove in advance is one less chance for your tired brain to take over. This is why something as simple as deciding your dinner before noon can change what you eat at night. Why setting your workout clothes out in the morning makes you more likely to move in the evening. Why deleting certain apps or even just logging out can create enough friction to stop an automatic habit. You're not increasing willpower. You're changing the default. Because when your brain is tired, it doesn't rise to your goals. It falls to your systems. And that might be the most important idea in this entire story. You don't need to become a different person at night. You need to make sure the easy path is already aligned with who you want to be. Because let's be honest, you're always going to have long days. You're always going to feel drained. You're always going to have moments where thinking feels like too much. That's not a flaw. That's human. The real difference is what happens next. Do you rely on a tired brain to make the right call? Or do you build a life where the right call is already made? So tonight, when you feel that familiar pull toward the easy option, pause for just a second. Not to fight it, but to notice it. Because that moment, that's not weakness. That's your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. The question is, what have you designed around it? And here's something worth thinking about. If you could remove just one decision from your evenings, what would it be?